Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Today is May the 26th, 2019. It's Sunday and it's a beautiful afternoon, quite sunny, and I am outside. I'm just outside of my bedroom on my balcony, and I thought I would just bring it outside today because I wanted to enjoy the outdoors as well as podcast, and I needed to do both those things right now, so here I am. I may look a little disheveled. It's because it's outside, and even though it's still spring, it is a little warm today, so I don't do well in extreme temperatures, whether it's heat or cold, and today is a little hot for me. That being said, I am grateful for the sunny days. I'm grateful for being able to sit outside and enjoy it. I don't have too much of a knitting content in today's episode, but I did really want to sit down and share some stuff with you, even if it's going to be a shorter episode. So, before we go on, you can find me on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. We also have a lovely Ravelry group on Ravelry. It's called the Sweet Lavender Knits group. So come on by, check us out. If you enjoy what's happening there, do join in and introduce yourself in the welcome thread if you're up to it. We have a lovely group of knitters and crocheters, quilters even, and they take part in the Let's Chat thread, which is open to everybody, and it's just to share what's going on, anything about anything really, and so do feel free to join in there as well. The podcast is mainly about knitting and my knitting journey, and I don't have a local knit night to go to, so I've invited you to mine. I hope you will grab your needles, a favorite project, something nice to drink, and let's get started. What's going on? It's been about a month since I last podcasted. It's been a long time because we've just been going through all kinds of sickness through the house, and I was fortunate enough to take a week off over the last week. Actually, today is my last day. I head back into work tomorrow, and it was more just to be able to spend some time at home. My son returned home after university for summer last Saturday. And then we also did a crazy thing and took on a puppy. So we have a new addition to the family. Maybe in one of the podcasts, he might make an appearance. He's a Labradoodle. His name is Charlie. He's 13 weeks old. So we are quite busy having a puppy in the house. He's house trained, but we still need to supervise him constantly and just keep up with his energy. He is quite energetic, but at the same time, thankfully, a little mellow and quite he's more on the quiet side, which works wonderful with me. We are all really enjoying him, and I have to say our schedules are totally changed because of him being here, and for the better, and we're just spending a lot more time with him, with each other, and everything is good that way. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get a lot of knitting done. I've wanted to, but at the same time, I just didn't have the mojo to do it. It was either with the beginning of the first 2 weeks since my last podcast, I was a little on the sick side. I was trying to get help my son get over his sickness, my little one, and then my husband ended up getting sick, so I needed to take on a few more responsibilities so that he can rest a little, and so it's just been a little crazy, but unfortunately not as much knitting. So I don't have a lot of knitting to show you today, but I do have a finished object. But before we get there, one more thing is our knit along. We have the Let's Knit KAL going on right now, and it started on the 1st of April and goes all the way to the 30th of June. So if you haven't joined in as yet, it's not too late. I'll explain why. Because there are monthly prizes. I would be picking a winner at the end of April, and again at the end of May and the end of June in the monthly FO thread on the Ravelry group. And there is also knit-a-thon prize, and that knit-a-thon prize, like a marathon, for the 3-month project that you would be doing that ends at the end of June. So there will be a finished objects winner for that as well as a chatted thread. I will be picking winners from the chatted thread as well. So I meant to pick a winner at the end of April. I wasn't sure if there were enough entries, but then there were enough entries. So I will go back and see where the April 30th thread, or which, how do I say this, which post is the last of the April 30th thread, and then do a random number generator for those numbers. And then same for May, from then on to the end of May, and pick another one. So maybe I'll do all the winners right at the end, and I hope you guys will mind. It's just because I've been busy. I've missed 1 month already, so I just might as well do them all together. And so that's the plan. So feel free to join in. The details of the KAL are on the Ravelry thread if you want to check it out in detail. But basically what it is, the monthly prizes or the monthly projects are going to be smaller projects that you can finish within the month. Works in progress are welcome. You can double dip into other knit-alongs as well. And then the 3-month or the knit-a-thon prize is for a project that would have taken you the 3 months, that you would have started somewhere in the beginning of the KAL maybe, or even if you start now, but if you're able to get it done, but it has to be a larger project. So hope that makes sense to you guys. But if you have questions, you can always ask, and you know what, we're pretty flexible. It's a small group, so as long as everyone else is okay with it, it should be okay. Yes, so those are the details on the knit along. So yes, if you're new and do want to have again, to say that this is a small group, so your chances of winning are really high, and it's just a part of the fun. I think it's just to get to know people and have fun knitting together. Although I have to say it's been a while since I've checked out the different posts. I haven't been on Ravelry as often as I'd like, and I hope to remedy that over the next few weeks. We'll see. Moving on to finished objects. Finished objects starts with this one here. And this is the Arrow Caterpillar shawl. It is a beautiful shawl, asymmetrical shawl that is knit widthwise, and it's all short rows that you knitted in. It's got this super long tail that you have to weave in. So if I were to wear it in like that, it just goes into these slots that are intentionally there in the pattern. The pattern, I have to say, I'll speak while I thread this through. The pattern is written out for somebody who has a little of understanding on how to knit it. That being said, it's not a difficult pattern at all. It's very basic, because the one thing that you need to know is double stitches, and there is a link for that in the pattern on how to do the double stitches, because these are short rows. So yeah, they're just very, let me start off here. Right at the beginning, you cast on all whatever number of stitches. It's a free pattern, I believe, on Ravelry. I'll link it down below. You just go all the way to the end, that is your tail tip end, and then you knit back. But while you're knitting and increasing this way, you're also sort of increasing it this way. Anyway, I'm not doing a very good I'm not doing a very good job describing it, but it is a lovely pattern. Here it is. So you can wear it. This is one of the ways you can wear it on. There are several ways you can put it on, but I like it like this. And the yarn that I've knitted in is Shibui Knits. This is the dark plum, and it's in the birch base, and it's called Velvet. And this is some kid mohair, and I believe it's called Silk Signatures, her brand. I'm not sure. I'll put it up on the screen, but it is a local yarn that I got, and it's mohair. It's my first time using mohair in a pattern, or knitting with mohair really, and I have to say I enjoyed it, but I also was not too confident with it, just because I would pick up fiber rather than the yarn, and a few rows later I would find out that I have that the stitches started to run because I haven't picked up the yarn, and I've picked up fiber, the fluff around the yarn. So there is one spot where it was not fixable because I realized it too late. I will point it out to you. The ends are not weaved in. I will go back and do that. Is here. So I realized this when I was just casting off, that I had not picked up the stitch and instead picked up fluff, or knit with the fluff, and so it started to run. So I just put in a stitch marker and held it in place so it wouldn't run any further. And then I also had some problems with casting off. So yeah, I don't know if it was just because it's my first time with mohair, but I have to say that this yarn is so light, and so it can be warm, but it's also very light and airy, so I could wear it on a cool summer day and it would be perfect. I'll stop fidgeting. I am looking forward to that, and this is my finished object. Then moving on to works in progress. So works in progress, I'm gonna call this the senseless shorties. Okay, and I'll say that it is a work in progress, but I'll show you the finished sock. It's a sock pattern, and this is the one that I have finished, and I have not cast on for the other one, so I will be casting on. These are my May socks, and I chose to knit the Rose City Rollers pattern by Mara Catherine Briner. I think I'm saying it correctly. So yes, that is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it was actually to join in with Amy of Stranded Podcast, her knit along that she has going for any of the designer's patterns, and Rose City Rollers was one of it, and it was a shorties sock that I wanted to knit for this month. So I picked a really fun yarn out of my stash, and this is Antoinette by Herbsplat Regina on her soft hazel sock base, maybe. I'm not actually, I think it's witch hazel. I don't know. I will find it and put it up on the screen. But it is so soft, and I'll tell you the reason why I call them senseless socks, senseless shorties, is because first of all, it's taking me forever to knit these, even though they're short socks. I should be able to knit them faster, but in my defense, I did start off late. I started on the 15th of May. I just wasn't feeling like sock knitting. I wanted to get the Arrow Caterpillar shawl done, and I just didn't want to start another sock. So I've been trying to do a sock a month through this year, and I call it the Sweet Lavender Knits Year of Socks 2019 is the hashtag SLK Year of Socks 2019 is the hashtag. And the reason I picked shorty socks is because we're heading into warmer months. I thought it'll be nice just to wear with sneakers or something like that. It's also senseless because the yarn is a singles yarn. So it is a really, really nice yarn, but at the same time, it breaks very easily if you were to tug it. I shouldn't say very easily. It's not very easy, but it's a single strand of yarn. And so it's not the most sensible for socks, yet that's what I chose to do. And I think it's taken me so much longer to knit on these socks because I chose to go with the pattern and knit the heel flap, heel turn, and gusset. And I know it always takes me so much longer when I have to do it that way. But I wanted to stick in pattern because there really isn't a lot for as far as pattern. It is basically, you start off with, it's a free pattern, so I can share this, is that you start off with a certain number of stitches according to your size, and then you just knit. You knit for about 1.5 inches, and then you do your heel, whatever way that is, and then you just continue knitting until you get to the toe, and then you do your toe. So really it is a vanilla sock, vanilla to a T, with not even a cuff. It's a rolled cuff basically because of the knit stitches. But it was definitely the heel flap, heel turn, and gusset that just took a lot longer for me, and it always does. And it doesn't fit me as nice, but I just chose to do it. I was trying to be close to the pattern because there wasn't really much more to the pattern than that. So yes, though that is my second work in progress. Let me just show you the yarn cake. I don't know if that'll make any difference, but it looks really nice. And it's got these highlights of yellow in there, fluorescent yellow and pink, and a little bit of peach, and it looks really nice. So I love the yarn. It's really nice yarn. And I know I look like I'm squinting. I should. It doesn't look very friendly, but yeah, it's probably because I can, if I go, I shouldn't squint. I just shouldn't squint. Okay. Yes, and that is my work in progress. So that'll be what I'll be working on primarily for the next few days. It is the 26th today. I have about 4 or 5 days left in the month. I doubt I will get the sock done, but I will work on it. I will get it done, just not by the end of the month. And that's okay. Sometimes, that's just the way it happens, right? The other thing I am working on, which I'm not going to show you because there really isn't a lot. I just picked it up last night and did a few rows, so there isn't a lot to show you, but it is what I will also be primarily working on next, over the next few weeks, is the Rocaine pullover by Christina Danahy. It's a lovely pattern. I was all gung-ho about it when I started. I've gotten to the point where I just need to get going with it, complete it, but just sitting down and following a chart is a little difficult for me at some time, just with so many things happening around the house these days. So I just need to find some quiet time and go through with the pattern, but I am still enjoying that knit as well. I am also looking forward, and I may do this before the next podcast, is to start on the Elton cardigan, because I am quite eager to start working on a pink sweater. And although my Rocaine pullover is pink, but it's more like a fuchsia, dark fuchsia pink, more like this, and the other yarn I have for the Elton is more like this, the lighter pink. So I am really looking forward to that, and that's probably where I will be heading towards next in my knitting journey. The other thing I wanted to share with you, so those are my works in progress really. I didn't want to have too many things on my plate at the moment. I'm trying to rein in some of the stuff. I have projects that I have not touched for a while, and strangely, you know, over the last podcast I was there showing off all this progress I had made on my Sizzle Pop shawl, which is the 2-color lace brioche shawl. And when I was editing the podcast to put it on, I realized that the pattern was so off and I hadn't realized it. So I do have to rip it back down to my previous lifeline and knit it up again, because that's just, it would bother me. It just would. Unfortunately, that's the way my brain works. So yeah, it would bother me, so I have to rip it back. And so because of that, it's sort of like been put away for a bit, because again, that needed a little more brain space than I could afford at this, you know, over the past few weeks, with chart and just brioche added to it and lace and, you know, all of that. So it's going to be my forever project. I will get it done one day, but just not tomorrow. And then, yes, the other thing I wanted to share was acquisitions. My son was very, very nice enough on his trip back. He picked up yarn from me. And so that was his gift to me when he got home. And it was not just a little yarn, it was quite a bit of yarn. So let me share it with you. And so he brought me yarn. That's quite a bit of yarn. So of course he knows nothing about yarn, but he had asked me colors and what kinds of yarn, and you know, I had asked him to check out a few yarn stores if he could. And so it was more like here's what I like, and if you can, sort of. But it was still very nice of him to bring it. So he got me 3 sweater quantities of merino. It's 50% merino and 50% acrylic, but it's still really nice. So here are like 5 skeins, and these are 100 grams, and this is the brand. Well, I'll get you one that you can see. It's called Oxford Classic Fancy Handmade. Yeah, so he got it in the white, because I think a white sweater would always be nice, that you can, you know, I was thinking maybe a white dressy sweater maybe. And then this, I also have a sweater quantity in this sort of what kind of a green is this? All I know is I like it. It's got a jewel tone to it, but sort of a muted tone as well. And yeah, so this is the brand. It's Luxe Merino, and it's 50% wool and 50% acrylic. It's really soft, it's nice, and it's washable, which is perfect. So yeah, 5 of these. He also got me, these are 100% wool, and they're 50 grams each. They look like bats, like spinning bats. What do you call them? Fiber bats, right? And it's this hot pink that I wanted. And he got it for me because it was like the softest yarn that they had, or the softest wool that they had. And it doesn't say anything more than wool on here, so I don't know what kind of wool it is. But he got me 2 of these. And I guess I would need to go back to spinning at some point to be able to use those. And then another sweater quantity, and because he said that they didn't have, these were the colors that I'd picked, and they didn't have a sweater quantity in any of the one colors, so he sort of got a mix of them, which works perfect, where if I could like make, you know, sort of blend it in, maybe stripes or something. So there are grays, it's light blue and dark blue, and yeah, there's 5 of those skeins as well. So lots of garments, and definitely I am definitely interested in knitting more garments, because I really love that satisfaction of having a cardigan or a pullover that I can wear and it fits me well, which has been the case with my Zweig as well as the Beaumont jumper over the last within the last year, and then before that the campsite cardi. I've knit another one, Alicia Plum. I forget what the pattern name was, but it was one of the botanical knits, pattern from the botanical knits book. But yes, I've knit a few, not too many garments, and I do want to knit more, and so I definitely have enough yarn for that. That's what I can say. So yes, it's been a very relaxing, I want to say relaxing, but also I need to take it a little slow. So over the summer months, I will be just doing the best that I can in every aspect. Really, my garden is not getting the attention that it needs right now, and I'm a little saddened by it, but I'm also not able to go out and do as much as I'd want to physically. So I'm trying to get some help around the garden maybe, and yeah, so there's a lot of areas outside of my own free time that I need to be, or I need to expend the time in. So I don't know how much time I'm going to be left with for knitting or crafting, but it definitely is where I want to be at all times if I can, and so I will definitely gravitate towards it, because that's what makes me happy. I hope all of you are having an enjoyable May so far, and we're heading into June. For those of us in the northern hemisphere, that means summer, and for those in the southern hemisphere, I see posts on Instagram of how the weather is cooling down, and I hope you have a safe week ahead of you wherever you are, and that you enjoy your time in your craft, whatever that is. And you're here for knitting. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you as much knitting content today, but I definitely did enjoy sitting here and chatting with all of you. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead of you, a lovely knitting week, and may all your projects be done and off the needles so we can cast more on.